All right, here we go. I got a new project, y'all. I got this old Specialized Hardrock step-through style frame. It was left at the shop, and it had been hanging for a really long time. Um, and it just didn't make sense for the customer to have it fixed. They didn't want it anymore. So I thought, this thing has some really good bones, but it is in bad shape. All the cables are rusted. The rear wheel is pretzeled. And obviously the chain is like rusted solid, and it's been in a barn for a while and just hasn't seen any love whatsoever. It's got issues. The bottom bracket is seized inside the frame and the shifters don't work. But, these are all things that these old bikes, usually you can kind of work through them and bring them back to life. So I thought, let's try it out. So to get started, I basically just tear everything apart. I mean, it's just, it's all got to go. The cables have to go. The rear wheel's shot. The chain's got to go. It's going to need a new bottom bracket. The shifters are going to have to come off because they're going to have to soak, which I did off camera. And so I'm just going to tear it down. When you're tearing down a bike, if it's got an old school threaded headset, one thing you want to make sure of is to keep the stem and honestly usually the front wheel in too. That way you can get some bite to get that lock nut off. You can tell those headset bearings have probably never seen any grease. Oh yeah, the pedals were like pretty much rusted solid. They would turn, but they're pretty much trash as well. Okay, here we go. I'm getting close. I'm taking the cranks off now, and I'm starting to see the light, but what I didn't leave on here was about the hour that it took Andrew and I to get this bottom bracket out. I mean, it was like seized in the frame. It was just solid rust. I thought that it was actually put in reverse because the stationary cup, which sometimes is on the non-drive side, but very, very rarely, that was the case for this frame. So I was seeing an adjusting style cup on the drive side, and I was really worried at this point that it was the frame was not going to be any good. But thankfully, it was just one of those super rare opposite side cups. But this is what we had to resort to. And this was after it soaked for quite a while.
All right, just broke loose.
Finally breaks loose.
Woo!
And you can see
Okay. So,
It had condensation
not
inside
nice.
for
Get
sure.
a shot from over coming around, and so you can see how rusty that is.
Check that out. So that all had to be cleaned out, frame saved, and had to let that sit for a while. So that bottom bracket's going in the trash.
I can see the return pawl that won't move. I just can't really get to it.
I'm getting it prepped because I'm going to let it sit for a night or two after I get a Teflon spray on those. And while that's waiting, I'm just going to give it a light bath. If anybody doesn't have one of these like $30 pressure like handheld pressure bottles, I highly recommend you get one. I bought it honestly for taking showers at bike races, but when I figured out that you can wash a bike inside if you have some cardboard down, it's fantastic. I use it for everything: watering the plants, taking a shower when I'm at a bike race, washing bikes, cooling us down on a hot day, just whatever. They're pretty cool. As I'm washing it, I'm getting pleasantly surprised by, honestly, how good of shape it's in. It's definitely old. I think this is, I looked it up, I forget, it's like a 91 or 93 model. But like, so obviously it's got some haze to it, but just put a little bit of wax on it and heat gun off some of the old decals. And it really starts to look pretty good. Headset bearings were all in one piece, and they were actually in pretty good shape, so I'm just going to hit them with a little degreaser and clean them out, and then just pack them with grease. Got them all packed, and now just have to put it together. Little trick, you can just spin the fork. And I'm just going to put all this together kind of loose because I still have to get the stem straight with the front wheel on. And I want to set the headset tension once I actually have the stem tight. So all that's just loosely installed right now. And we're going to change bars. This bike, to me, needed a bit of a riser bar on it. Because no one's ever going to mountain bike on this bike. It's going to be more than likely just ridden around town. So why not have a little comfort? All right, finally got some the new bottom bracket in. It's a 68 by 123 if anyone's curious. Yeah, I've just got the derailleur lightly loosened onto the frame. Obviously I don't have the cranks in, so I can't set the height yet. But I cleaned up the threads on the shell kind of off camera. So they pretty much went in by hand. Cranks went on beautifully. They're all cleaned up. Just a quick soap and water. No big deal. And cheapy little bottom bracket feels really good in there. So this bike's going to ride smooth. When you're seating the master link, make sure to move it to the top side of the chain, and then you can just tap the crank. Since it had to have a new wheel, I had to reset the limits on the derailleur. And the cable guide had to come off earlier because it was interfering with removing the bottom bracket. So that goes back in place. Always like to bend the cable upwards to give it a nice clean look. Of course, you have to have an end tip on every cable. Just checking the shifters crudely. They are working. I put an inline adjuster on that, so it was a real easy adjustment. Time to run a shift cable. I want to keep the cables tidy because I'm going to put a front basket on it, so I want to keep them kind of pulled back pretty close to the frame without, interfering with turning or, you have to have some slack to the cables. But when you put a basket on, it's always best to kind of pull them up as close and tidy to the bike as you can. And so that's what I'm doing there with that box when I sized it up. And then I'll just run the housing. And don't forget your cable donuts, or cable O's, depending on where you're from. Love these old derailleurs. They're a little bit clunky, but they're nuts and bolts and real easy, and you can get a firm purchase with your wrench. This Altus C10 derailleur is not designed to be ultra light. It's just designed to work. So I'm just going to dry shift it and seat that shift housing. And now that it's seated, I can reposition that cable, give it a clip, and of course an end tip. I've already set my limits, so now that my cable's set, I should just be a small turn off on cable adjustment if I followed my procedure correctly. And of course I did, because I've been doing this for a long time. And she shifts good. Probably going to have a little housing compression, no big deal. When I set up a new cable, I always set it up a little bit on the high side, because I know that housing's always going to compress, and that way if it's just a touch on the high side, it'll usually within a ride maybe to settle in and be just perfect. But if not, that's what the barrel's for. I always like to put a little touch of grease on the post, keep the brake arms from seizing on there. If I ever have to take them off, I'm always glad I did. And these had to be the longest brake bolts ever, so I edited a lot of that out. But they work really well. This little trick I do on the brake cables, just dot some Teflon lube down in the housing before you run it. My personal preference is actually finish line wet, but it will make brake cables feel ridiculously smooth. And so I always recommend on brake cables, especially on older bikes with worn out equipment, even on a brand new cable, just put a couple of dots in there. You'll be in shock and awe at how amazing it works. I like these old brakes because I like these cable carriers. This one's pretty cool. It's got the cable stop built into the stem, but these Diacomp cable carriers, I just have a place in my heart for them because when I started working on bikes, I was doing this every day, all day, and they just look cool. And there's some really cool aftermarket ones too. Paul makes a cool one. There's there's all kinds out there, but I like these Diacomps if I'm not worried about weight, because they're just metal, like they're steel. Like, I don't know if they're steel, but they're really heavy. It's got a steel bolt in it for sure. But you can just really set these brakes up super well. Test the lever throw, see how it feels. Feels pretty good, so I'm going to snug it up. You've got so many points of adjustment on these. You've got the canty post can slide in and out, the angle can change, the spring return on the brake arms can change, where the cable carrier is can change, and all of that can affect these brakes. I've got I know my process. Everyone's got a little bit different process. I like mine. I've raced cyclocross on these brakes, and they're fun to tune. They're definitely a mechanic's brake. Are they the best? Not even close. But they work well, but you do have to really know how to tune them. It was kind of an interesting contraption that to solve the problem of the cable hanger, they put the stop underneath a pulley wheel, and then that's where you hang the hanger there. So I'm just testing the lever throw because I don't want to pull that hanger into that pulley wheel, obviously, and so I need to know that distance. Once that distance is set, then I can come back, tighten it down, and run my my straddle cable. Got to move the camera over so you can see what I'm doing. If y'all have camera angle ideas, I'm open to them. Like, would you rather see this from like a GoPro mount on my head or a chest mount, or do you think these angles are good? I'm not very good at filming, so any feedback on that is welcome. So I got a brake pad catching on the tire on the other side, so I'm going to have to lower that down. And once I lower it down, clear it from the casing of the tire where it was sticking, then it opens right up and plays nice. Little spring tension change. Looks good. It's got to have some new pedals. Basic pedals are going to do just fine here. This bike hopefully is going to live a life of around town commuting. That's kind of the idea I had behind it. That's why I picked the Schwalbe tires with the reflective sidewalls. And of course we had to come in and pop a basket on it. What's your favorite basket? This one's not my favorite. I like the ones with the adjustable legs that are a little bit more expensive. Do you like a big basket? Do you like a small basket? What do you carry in it? Do you have pictures of what you carry in it? Let me know what your favorite is. It's hard to beat these old walled baskets though. I mean, they're just really durable. I've run quite a few different ones and crashed on them, and even when they get all bent up, they still work pretty well. So hopefully somebody will get a lot of use out of this one. Had to do some lock-on grips. They just seem like the right choice. So, what do y'all think? This is the end result. I've ridden it. It rides really well. And this one's for sale.